Part 2. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 11. I didn't encounter any trouble after arriving at the general department. The supervisor is a eldest sister in her mid-30s, surnamed Yang, with a very gentle personality. There are about 12 or 3 employees, most of whom are the same age as Han Qian. The deputy supervisor is older, about 4 years old. A very greasy uncle about 10 years old. Han Qian spent the whole morning observing the atmosphere in the general department. Idle. Free. Basically no one was busy. Occasionally, they would type up a few documents and send them to other departments, and then there would be nothing else to do. Some would watch movies, and some would play games. However, this did not make Han Qian feel comfortable. Now he is not qualified to enjoy these. He wants to go to the planning department. Only in the planning department can he find opportunities. The planning department is like a battlefield, and this place seems to be a nursing home. After staying up until noon, they seem to have no intention of going for lunch. Han Qian stood up and asked softly how to solve lunch here at the same time. Are you hungry? Let's come together. It just so happens that I don't want to go myself. This colleague seemed to be easy to talk to. The two of them had a brief exchange of words on the way to the restaurant on the first floor after leaving the general department. The young man's surname was Su Ming Liang. He was a few months younger than Han Qian. He had only been in the company for 2 months. Specifically, the general department wanted it's not clear what kind of job he does. Printing a few documents every day is considered work, but Sister Yang is very busy every day, and everyone doesn't know what they are busy with. In the restaurant, I met Song Jing, the manager of the Human Resources Department. The two of them smiled and said hello. Honor's food was good. Han Qian ordered a portion of rice and Su Liang a bowl of beef noodles. When they were about to use their chopsticks, Song Jing came over with 2 bottles of juice. The juice was placed in front of Han Qian. Song Jing asked with a slightly embarrassed look on her face. Han Qian, actually, Mr. Yan is a very nice person. I heard that you were transferred to the general department. I'm sorry. I gave you the contract to go to the planning department, but the general department is also very good. Mr. Yan is here. The department established later in the company is very idle when there is no work. Once busy, it will not be a small matter. If you don't want to stay, I will transfer you to the planning department in a few days. Han Qian smiled lightly. It's best if you can go to the planning department. If you can't go, you can't force it. Going to the general department is an order personally given by Mr. Yan in the morning. I can't refuse, right? I just want to work hard and study while I'm young. If possible, please. Manager Song is here. Song Jing smiled and shook her head. It's okay, this is my job too, so you eat first, I still have some things to do. What could happen at noon? Han Qian nodded with a smile, got up and sent Song Jing away. When he sat down again, Su Liang looked at the 2 bottles of juice on the table and said softly. Brother Qianer doesn't like working in the general department? The life here is relaxed and the salary is higher than in other departments. Why bother going to the planning department? If you don't tell me, pretend I didn't ask. Anyway, I'm not interested in this. I just want to know. There is some misunderstanding with Mr. Yan, he. Han Qian smiled helplessly. When I first came to the company, I wasn't familiar with him. I was almost hit by Mr. Yan. I didn't know Mr. Yan at the time, so we had a big fight. After saying this, Su Liang's expression changed. She leaned forward and whispered. A few days ago, someone got into a fight with Mr. Yan at the elevator door. I heard that he even pulled Mr. Yan's hair. Could it be you, Brother Qianer? If you said it happened on Friday, I was right. Stop gossiping and let's eat. Brother Chiener is a true hero. Sul Yang added something and then lowered his head to eat the noodles. It seemed that he was not worried about being implicated at all. He didn't know whether he was heartless or more easygoing. But Han Qian couldn't laugh anymore. He suddenly thought of what he had just said. Did Song Jing from the Human Resources Department come here to help Mr. Yan make a plan? If so, it would be a disaster. Yan Qingqing would never let him go to the planning department. How melancholy. In fact, Han Qian's guess was correct. Song Jing left the restaurant and ran all the way to the general manager on the 14th floor. She stood outside the door and took a deep breath before pushing the door open. Yan, ah. Without saying the second word, a folder was thrown away and passed by Song Jing's waist. Song Jing was so frightened that she stood there and did not dare to move. Yan Qingqing had anger in her eyes and gritted her teeth angrily. The planning department has raised a bunch of rubbish. Is this the plan they gave? Do they think everyone else is stupid? As long as this project falls on our heads, Chang Xiang will cheat us during the bidding, and it will cover up his grandma's whistle product Lu. Is he going to buy something in this pedestrian street? Go to the pedestrian street to watch the plane take off. Song Jing picked up the documents on the ground and returned them to her desk, then took 5 or 6 steps back and stood far away. Yan Qingqing sighed and dialed a phone number. It was better that the call was not made. After learning the result, she even more broken. Chang Xiang's vice president Wen used his family connections to solve the problem. If Chang Xiang couldn't take advantage of him, it would be Glory's turn. There were only 2 big real estate companies in the city, and the Yeomanmen would never go to those small companies. Small companies will not touch this hot potato. Yan Qingqing put all her strength away, rested her chin on the desk and looked at Song Jing pitifully. Sister Song, what should I do? We just have to send an imperial edict to our Glory to take over this hot potato. The business will definitely lose money. Forget it, it's useless to ask you. Song Jing smiled awkwardly, lowered her head and whispered. Mr. Yan, this project and planning are not my strengths. You should ask Vice President Kang. Him. He wishes I could go down early. By the way, I asked you to ask how Han Qian's affairs are going. I feel a little sorry for sending him to the general department. Yan Qingqing seemed to have no strength at all, and she was unable to speak. Song Jing recalled Han Qian's appearance just now and replied softly. I checked this person's affairs and found out that he faked his academic qualifications and got into the Chang Xiang group. In less than a year, he became famous in Chang Xiang's planning department. Later, he seemed to be a personal consultant for a certain person. He still wanted to go to the planning department, but not too strong, with a maturity that doesn't match your age. Planning department? Now I want to set fire to the planning department, and he will set himself on fire? Huh. He knows planning. I seem to understand a little bit during the interview. I know, go ahead and get busy. Tell Xiao Yangjie to inform the people in the planning department who are working on a planning document. The project department will also give me an answer early. If you can't do it, don't go home. Remember to prepare dinner for them. Song Jing nodded in agreement and left the general manager's office with small steps. I corrected all the typos. If there are any more, please kill me. Also, please vote for recommendations. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 12. Han Qian, who was about to take a rest after the meal, was woken up by a crisp sound. He raised his head and saw Sanwu Loli in professional attire jumping into the general department. She seemed to be familiar with everyone here. The game player closed the game, and some female colleagues brought out snacks. It's a pity that Sanwu Loli didn't play for long before she was frightened by Sister Yang's dry cough. She hugged the arm of Yang Lan, the head of the general department, and called her sister affectionately. Yang Lan was also a little helpless towards the sister. Why are you sneaking to my place when you're not with Mr. Yan? Be careful, Mr. Yan will deal with you. Xiao Yangjia wrinkled her nose and retorted. It's not secret. Mr. Yan won't talk about me. I have to help her stop those flies, sister. Who is Han Qian? Mr. Yan wants me to come to him. Hearing these words, everyone's eyes fell on Han Qian. The corners of Han Qian's eyes twitched. He never expected that this woman's revenge would come so quickly. Su Liang lay on the table beside him and whispered. Brother Qianer, can I still see you come back alive? I see you have a good pack of cigarettes in your pocket. Han Qian smiled and joked, but he didn't expect Su Liang to directly push the cigarette to Han Qian, holding his stomach and laughing. Brother, you have put it into practice. While talking, San Wu Loli Xiao Yangjia came close to Han Qian, looked up and down carefully, then turned to look at Yang Lan and smiled with narrowed eyes. He is Han Qian, right? He is quite handsome. No wonder he got admitted after fighting with Mr. Yan. Tisk, 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 Han Qian. You, brother Yang, I would like to call you the strongest, go, go. The best on the 14th floor. The office inside belongs to Mr. Yan. Han Qian looked at this little loli and frowned with a smile. Aren't you going? Xiao Yangjia narrowed her eyes and smiled. Brother Yang, I will only take action when you are in trouble. Now you are in trouble, but I am hungry. Then you should be hungry. Han Qian stood up and ignored Xiao Yangjia, who came to blackmail him. He smiled at Yang Lan and said he would come back soon. Minister Yang smiled and nodded, but when she turned to look at her own sister, she smiled. He disappeared and was carried into her office by the heirs. Han Qian smoked a cigarette when he went to Mr. Yan's office. He didn't know why Yan Qingqing was so crazy. He had to bear it no matter what. Glory was his only chance. After knocking on the door of the general manager's office and hearing Yan Qingqing's voice, Han Qian opened the door and walked in, saying softly, Mr. Yan, please look for me. At this time, Yan Qingqing was still lying on the table, rolled her eyes feebly, and spoke weakly. I don't know you, how can others let you into my office? I won't hide it from you. If you attack me and pull my hair, I just want to torture you. If you can't stand it, get out and get 3 times the salary. Here you go, if you can accept it, I'll clean the office. This is one of the jobs of the general department. Okay, Mr. Yan, I'm going to prepare the mop and rag. Han Qian accepted it calmly, which made Yan Qingqing feel that she couldn't see the sky clearly. She watched Han Qian mop the floor and clean up the peels on the coffee table. After watching for a while, Yan Qingqing got tired of it and looked down at various departments. Documents for land. The more he watched, the angrier he became. He discovered that he had raised a group of pigs to build a shopping mall. Can a shopping mall be better than an old department store? Are you blind or deaf? Didn't you know that there is a Glory department store in the city center? Others said that the market was built opposite the commodity city, which was simply unsightly. Some even said that RT Mart was a fool's errand. Ah! A piercing scream frightened Han Qian to shiver, and then he saw that the girl threw all the documents on the table on the ground, as well as the high heels on her feet. Han Qian took a deep breath, lowered his head and continued to pack. There was no reaction on the surface, but I was beginning to doubt myself in my heart. Are you destined to be a housewife in this life? I was married for 3 years and worked for 3 years. After the divorce, I thought I was relieved, but the warmth returned. I thought I could do some serious things at work, but in the end I was still cleaning up and serving women. Han Qian firmly believed that he must have offended many women in his previous life, for sure. After sorting the documents and putting them back on the table, Yan Qingqing pushed them to the ground. Han Qian took a deep breath and picked them up again, only to be pushed down by Yan Qingqing again. Han Qian ignored them and put all the documents into the trash can, returning them by the way. There was a pair of Yan Qingqing's shoes, and then she started mopping the floor. Yan Qingqing was furious when she saw this. Han Qian, you are sick. You threw away my shoes. Are you going to carry me home? If you can't carry it, the general department still has the responsibility to carry the general manager home. You're awesome, and I'm an idiot for raising a bunch of trash. The waste does not include me, you idiot, is your business. You came to quarrel with me? Han Qian, do you think I won't fire you? Mr. Yan thinks I'm here to apply for housekeeping. The clay figurine still has a bad temper, and Han Qian has this absolute immunity to beauties. This is all thanks to Miss Wen Nuan. Yan Qingqing was so angry that she took a big breath, and the phone in her hand was only one digit short of dialing the personnel department. The plump breastplate kept rising and falling, but it was a pity that Han Qian had his back to her and could not see the magnificent waves. If he saw it, Han Qian would be sad for the warmth. Why is the gap so big? It took half an hour to clean the office, and he asked when he was about to clear out the trash. Mr. Yan, are these planning cases going to be thrown away? Should I go back to the general department? I'll go wherever I fall in love. I'll get annoyed just by looking at you. Yan Qingqing replied angrily, and when Han Qian walked out of the office, Yan Qingqing cursed. Han Qian, you bastard, take back the shoes you gave me. Han Qian was stunned for a moment, looking at the shoes in the wastebasket with a slightly embarrassed look on his face. He forgot about the shoes and returned to the office with the wastebasket, carrying a pair of shoes and scratching his head in embarrassment. Hey, Mr. Yan, I put it here for you. Yan Qingqing stood up and walked barefoot on the floor tiles. Han Qian frowned when he saw this, but did not speak. Not looking for trouble, Yan Qingqing walked past Han Qian, took the shoes and threw them aside, and raised her head to look at Han Qian. Qian, Yan Qingqing had no choice but to look at her with a pair of fox eyes filled with grievance and unwillingness. Han Qian, help me. Han Qian was slightly stunned, lowered his head and looked at the paper basket in his hand. He guessed it, took a deep breath and asked softly. A dead horse being treated as a living horse, doctor? Yan Qingqing nodded honestly. I can't think of anyone. The planning department and the project department have tried their best. I don't count on the people in the general department. If they fail, I will have no way out. I'm expensive. Need payment. You are not worth money to me. I need money very much. I want to go to the planning department because I need money. How much can you give me? I heard from Songjing from the Human Resources Department that the department you came to interview with at Honor is the planning department. You know planning, right? If you can guarantee that your planning project will not make a loss, I will pay you 200,000 through a high-level meeting. Give me time, a week at most. It's too late, only 2 days. Double it? Can. No one loses. Yan Qingqing is not a fool. If the planning case fails, Han Qian will not get any money. It also shows his strength. Even if he does nothing now and goes back to the general department, he will still fight for 2 days. Game. Women are all born actors, especially playing a weak character. It's not a loss for Han Qian, he just uses his ability to make money. This is the plan to come to glory. Only here can he have the opportunity to discover and solve problems. Han Qian left, leaving behind the wastebasket and Yan Qingqing. All he wants now is money. I realize you don't like Yan Qingqing. That investment is divided into coins. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, The ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 13. After being there for more than half an hour, people in the General Affairs Department had already begun to guess who this guy who suddenly came out was. Some people asked Xiao Yangjia, and some people also slandered him in their hearts. It must be Yan Qing's youthful heart that fell in love with this oily-headed and pink-faced boy. This is the difference between people's hearts. Of course, they only dare to think about it in their hearts. What they can't eat is often sour, not to mention that Yan Qing often dresses very coquettishly. No one is born with a good nature and a dirty heart. Yang Lan also curiously asks Xiao Yangjia why Han Jian was called to the office by Mr. Yan on the first day he came to work. Moreover, this person joined the job first and went through the formalities later. Gossip is a woman's nature, not to mention that Xiao Yangjia, the gossip leader, was here. She had already inquired about Han Jian clearly, looked around furtively, and whispered in a low voice. "Sister, this Han Jian is not as honest as he looks. I heard that this guy had a fight with Mr. Yan on the day of the interview on Friday, and they had a fierce fight. In the end, he was persuaded to leave by Manager Song of the Human Resources Department. Take action with Mr. Yan." The corners of Yang Ian's eyes twitched slightly. This matter is not a secret in the company. On Friday, some people speculated who dared to take action against the company's Yasha Empress. The picture that appeared in the sea made Yang Lan couldn't help but rub his head, quietly and peacefully. It seems like a not-so-quiet person has come to the general department. While the sisters were gossiping, there was a knock on the ajar door of the office. "Sister Yang," Mr. Yan asked her secretary to go back quickly to report that something happened. Han Jian came back, and little Yangjia didn't dare to be lazy anymore in the general department. She got up and ran all the way. She didn't forget to take the snacks from the general department when she left. The little girl was not tall, but she was quite greedy. Then Han Jian remembered Nuan eating snacks on the sofa. The most difficult thing for him to accept is that someone is eating snacks in bed or on the sofa, leaving them all over the floor. Sitting on the chair in a daze, it seemed that he had forgotten to ask Yan Qing for information. Could it be that he should go back? Recalling Yan Qing's mouth, Han Jian shuddered. It would be better to wait for little Yangjia to ask her for it later. If that doesn't work, go to the gentle sister Yang. When Han Jian was in a daze, Sul Yang dragged a chair to Han Jian's side and asked in a low voice. "Brother Jian, is the journey safe? Mr. Yan is looking for you to avenge Friday." Han Jian stretched out his hand to hold Sul Yang's head and cursed with a smile. "Why are you more gossipy than girls? You guessed it right. Mr. Yan just wanted to take revenge on me. He cleaned up the office and divided a lot of work. If I had known she was the boss, I wouldn't have done anything. Yes or no? Come on, brother Jian, don't take advantage of me and act like a good boy." Although Mr. Yan's temper is a little irritable, she is a real goddess. How many people would rather be scolded than look at Mr. Yan more? "Next time you don't want me to go." Sul Yang had a wretched look on his face, while Han Jian looked at Sul Yang with bright eyes and said seriously. "You said it without any regrets. I heard that Mr. Yan is wearing a short skirt and high heels today. Ah, Queen. Do you still have this hobby? I'd rather be whipped." Sul Yang's wretched look made Han Jian helpless. At this time, the girl sitting opposite them cursed a pervert in a low voice. As a result, Sul Yang gave up on Han Jian and went to talk about perversion and love with the little girl. This familiar character made Han Jian very comfortable. It was good that he was not tired of making friends, and he had no intention of scheming with others. At this time, there was a rush of footsteps at the door, and Xiao Yangjia was back. Holding more than 20 folders in his hand, the animals in the General Affairs Department saw an opportunity to please Xiao Yangjia and hurriedly stepped forward to help, only to be kicked away one by one. "I'm still a kid, don't take advantage of me." As he spoke, he came to Han Qian with a stack of documents and put them on the table with a bang. Han Qian leaned back and looked at the documents in front of him, with a slight twitch in the corner of his mouth. Xiao Yangjia took out a can of Red Bull from his pocket, put it on the table and panted. Mr. Yan asked me to give you all this information, and by the way, he asked me to bring you coffee. I was very poor, so I went to the marketing department and bought you a bottle of Red Bull. Don't tell Mr. Yan. Seeing San Wu lowly clenching his fists in a threatening manner, Han Qian smiled and threw the Red Bull to her. Secretary Yang, you have worked hard, and this is a reward for you. Yang Jiahao put away the Red Bull rudely, then remembered Han Qian's words about the little secretary, and immediately became furious, puffing up her little breasts and yelling sweetly. Where is my sister so young? Han Qian held his chin and looked at Yang Jia in deep contemplation. Tisk, 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 still small. Wow. Sister, Han Qian, he bullied me. Little Yang Jia entered the scene in a second and was about to shed tears. At this moment, Han Qian panicked and stood up quickly, apologizing and not apologizing. At this time, Yang Lan came out of the office and hit his sister on the head. Then smiled at Han Qian. She is my biological sister. She often comes to the general department to be lazy and likes to make mischief. Han Qian, you are not as knowledgeable as her. Turns out they are biological sisters. How come the gentle sister Yang has such a naughty younger sister? Han Qian scratched his head, turned around and found that his colleagues were all snickering. Han Qian felt even more embarrassed, scratched his head and whispered. It's still my fault, I shouldn't have teased Yang Jia. Yang Lan shook his head and smiled softly. We are all colleagues from now on. We meet without looking up. No need to be so polite. Mr. Yan also called me just now and said that I will see the results on Thursday. If you don't understand anything, you can ask me. Okay, Sister Yang. Han Qian suddenly received a job, which made other employees in the general department unhappy. Moreover, it was a job assigned by Mr. Yan himself. If we make salted fish, we will make salted fish together. If you suddenly work, it will appear that we are more leisurely. This is a shame. It doesn't look good in the eyes of any department manager. No one wants to work, and they don't want to see Han Qian working. As a newcomer, you have to abide by the rules here. On your first day here, do you want to set a new standard and please the leader? Han Qian didn't know what these people were thinking. He was different from these people. The wages they earned could already satisfy their lives. Maybe some of them didn't need to go to work at all. However, Han Qian was very short of money. Looking at the warmth now, she wanted to talk easily, but after a long time, what if Lin Zongheng came back and talked in her ear? The human heart is made of flesh and will be shaken. I took a deep breath to find the most basic information and see what problem caused the entire plan to die. After watching for an afternoon, Suliang called out to get off work and Han Qian realized that it was already 5 o'clock and it was time to pack up and go home. When Han Qian was sorting out the documents and wanted to take them home, Suliang suddenly smiled and hugged Han Qian's shoulders and whispered smiled. Brother Qian, don't work so hard. Not everyone wants to see people who work hard. Han Qian was stunned for a moment, and immediately understood what Suliang said, took a deep breath and laughed at himself. Liang if you knew my pressure, you might understand me. I have no intention of playing the role of anyone. Suliang still had that cynical smile and laughed. Everyone has a life, but there should also be a precaution. Things are very difficult. Look at your frown all afternoon. If necessary, I need. Brother Qian, I'm just being polite. Maybe it's just eye contact, or maybe it's because Han Qian hasn't made friends for a long time, but it's just that the way they hook up is uncomfortable in the eyes of others, especially some men. In their eyes, Suliang is like a dog wagging its tail. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 14. Han Qian, come back quickly, I'm so hungry. Just when Han Qian was about to work overtime, Nuan called. Forgetting that there was still a mouth waiting for food at home, Han Qian chose to give up work and go home because of the habit he had developed over the past 3 years. He could continue doing some things when he returned home, and softly told Suliang that they would meet him tomorrow. I squeezed into the bus and started on my way home. On the way, I thought that there should be some food left from yesterday's cooking, and I could prepare a portion of it in the evening. Then this idea was questioned. Would Nuan agree? Why? Why should I care what he thinks when we are both divorced? I was having an inner duel along the way, and finally decided to go home without buying groceries. When he opened the door, he saw Nuan nestled on the sofa eating potato chips. There were black lines on Han Qian's forehead. Was this like he was about to starve to death? When Nuan also saw Han Qian, quickly put away the potato chips, knelt down on the sofa and shouted that he was hungry, and threatened Han Qian to call his ex-mother-in-law, who was abusing her. Han Qian took a deep breath. The first day at work is quite busy and I haven't gotten used to it yet. You'd better not call my mother. A few days ago she was asking if she wanted to go back for the Chinese New Year this year. If she knew that we were divorced, you should be fine, but I might will die. Oh, there are still a few months until the Chinese New Year. Stop nagging. I'm going to starve to death. I've bought vegetables in the kitchen. Go quickly. If you don't go, I'll tell Mom that you filed for divorce. When Nuan did not change her name to Aunt, and Han Qian didn't take it to heart. He walked into the kitchen and started preparing dinner. Looking at the dishes thrown on the cupboard, Han Qian was a little confused and couldn't help but grin. They were almost all his favorites. I don't know if Nuan hid it by mistake or if it was intentional. Han Qian, who was busy cooking, suddenly remembered the work Yan Qingqing had given him, and couldn't help but start asking. Nuan, I heard that there is a land next to the airport at the junction of the new and old districts that is going to be renovated. Have you enjoyed the bidding? It's not a bidding process, it's about choosing a scapegoat among several companies in the city. No matter what you do with this piece of land, you will lose money. The board of directors has the connections, and Chang Xiang is just joining in the fun. What? Your new company is also included in the bidding. Nuan appeared at the door of the kitchen at some point. He leaned against the door frame and tilted his head to watch Han Qian cooking. He suddenly opened his mouth and Han Qian jumped, turned around and frowned. What are you doing here? Remember to wear shoes. I don't know if it's part of the bidding process. I just listened to my colleagues talking about this and asked out of curiosity. Will I definitely lose money? Can carrots be put in Kung Pao chicken? Whatever, I don't want to eat. The airport is for training novice pilots. It is impossible to move it. It is the old community opposite the decoration city. Planes sometimes train at night. The residents and the airport are very unhappy. The government office had no choice but to relocate, but they didn't want to lose money, so they looked for someone to take advantage of them. Han Qian put down the kitchen knife, turned around and frowned. That's the thing. Nowadays, the sound insulation of houses is pretty good, but people nowadays are looking for elevators, which cannot be higher than the current building height. This location is not suitable for bungalows. There will be traffic jams in the morning, and it is troublesome to pick up the children. Opposite is the decoration city, small commodity city, passenger terminal, and RT Mart and Fortune Street not far away. It seems that everything you do will make you lose money. Who will be responsible for the demolition money? You cook first, I'm hungry. Nuan threatened Han Qian with his fists, and the latter quickly turned around to prepare dinner, when Nuan continued. The demolition money is the responsibility of the yeomanman. You have to spend money to buy this land. It is said to be a bidding, but someone should receive instructions before the auction. It is just a formality. The yeomanmen have been giving it to us for so many years. The group business is convenient and no one can refuse it. This place cannot be used as a community or a shopping mall. If there are fewer floors, it will look smaller. If it is higher, the airport will not agree. It is a mess. I hope Honor will take it. Then they will have no intention. Compete with Changxiang. Han Qian, who was cooking seriously, had an idea in his mind. It seemed that Yan Qingqing already knew that this mess would fall on Glory's head. 400,000 in 2 days. How much can I lose if I lose money? If the land is not built for 5 years, it will be taken back. The government will force them to build. No matter what they do, including the land and the property built, it is almost the same as what you owe me. I am talking about losses. In fact, the most important thing is reputation. Don't think about these useless things, think about how to pay me back first. I get very angry when I think of you divorcing me. I want to eat 4 dishes, 8 plates tonight. Would you like to eat the eggshells? Han Qian. You have changed. You have a dog outside, and you won't let me go. Han Qian ignored Wen. During the meal, his foot was stepped on more than a dozen times. Han Qian didn't take it seriously. After the meal, he washed the dishes and Wen went upstairs angrily. Han Qian didn't understand why he suddenly became angry. And you didn't provoke her either? He didn't understand or want to think about it. After cleaning up the housework, Han Qian also returned to the second floor and continued to look at the information in his hand. He was not in a hurry to make plans now. He wanted to start from this city and couldn't limit his sights to this area. Land. While he was busy, the door of the room was pushed open, and Wen Nuan, who was wearing pajamas, suddenly pounced on Han Qian, beating and biting him, until he rode Han Qian under him and declared victory, then left with a proud look on his face, taking Han Qian away by the way. Phone and told Han Qian bluntly. There is also a cooling off period for divorce. I have blocked Lin Zongheng. Please be more honest. If you dare to hook up with other women behind my back, you will pay me back now. Han Qiansheng looked at Wen Nuan helplessly and sighed with strength. Only a fool would choose a man with 4 million on his back. Besides, I don't even have a WeChat account. Who can I hook up with? You even logged out of the only one I've ever known. Nuan, come here. We need to talk. This made me timid without any explanation. Come here. Seeing that Han Qian was about to stand up, Wen Nuan quickly dialed a number on Han Qian's mobile phone. When Han Qian stood up, Wen Nuan shouted. Mom. Han Qian wants to hit me. When things got serious, Han Qian never expected that Wen Nuan would call his mother. He put down all the work in his hands and explained to his mother on the other side of the phone that he was just joking with Wen and had never wanted to do anything. I mean, the old man snatched the phone too many times, and he couldn't help but scolded Han Qian. The old man didn't have much future in his life, but there was one good thing. He never asked his mother to cook, and he never had children with her. Angry, the old man couldn't bear it when he heard that Han Qian was going to beat his wife. In the end, Han Qian begged Wen Nuan to testify that the matter was resolved. His mother issued an order for them to go home to celebrate the new year this year. The phone was hung up, and Han Qian lay on the tatami looking at the roof and said helplessly. Okay. Now we are asked to go back for the new year. If you don't want to go, Mom will inquire deeply. If she knows that we are divorced, your first base will be gone. Nuan sat cross-legged next to Han Qian and curled his lips and said disdainfully. Looking at your prospects, what does it mean if I go back to see my mother during the Chinese New Year and you have something to do with me? My mother treats me much better than Li Jinhee does to me. Go, go, go. Take a shower. You don't sleep with me at night, I wash, warm you, a dog. Just talk. While Nuan and Han Qian were fooling around, Lin Zongheng had already boarded the plane back to China, and he could not wait any longer. It's over, the keyboard seems to have been flooded with water, and then I deleted the 6 chapters that I had already written, and I felt unsatisfied. Then I searched for 2 days and couldn't find any of the stunning handsome guys and beauties in Hishu. How about some of you show me? If there are suitable rumors, I will add you. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 15. Han Qian woke up early in the morning with 2 dark circles under his eyes. He originally planned to stay up until about 12 o'clock and go to bed, but Nuan was busy until 11 o'clock. I don't know where she got the energy. Han Qian, who had slept for less than 2 hours in total, was really tired. Because he didn't have the energy to cook, he knocked on Nuan's door. There was no response for a long time. Han Qian pushed the door open and found that Wen had already gone to work. He glanced at the phone on Wen's bedside table in confusion. Han Qian turned around and ran away with his clothes. It's almost 9 o'clock. I didn't sleep for 2 hours, I slept for 4 hours. He went out to take a luxurious taxi to work, but he was still late anyway. The clock-in time for Honor Group was 8:50. When he got off the car, he found that Yan Qingqing's Raptor had stopped at the main entrance of the company. This made him feel confident and he jumped on it. When he saw Mr. Yan standing at the door with his hands protecting his arms and wearing a one-step skirt, Han Qian despaired. Sorry, Mr. Yan, I overslept. Yan Qingqing glanced sideways at the folder in Han Qian's hand, and her expression softened a bit. You stayed up all night reading information last night? You were still stuck in traffic. In fact, you can tell me a reason that makes me feel that you worked hard, and maybe you can get a bonus. Han Qian scratched his head and said awkwardly. There is no reason. I just overslept. Mr. Yan has promised me a bonus. I must be honest. My father has always taught me this. It's a pity that your honesty didn't impress me. I was late for an hour and a half and worked overtime for an hour and a half at night. Today is Tuesday. On Thursday morning, I hope you can let me walk out of the office with a smile. Okay, Mr. Yan, can I go upstairs? He rushed into the elevator in 2 steps without seeing the people in the elevator. When he got out of the elevator on the 11th floor, he saw Suliang drinking coffee in the corridor. Suliang tilted his head and looked at Han Qian. He tilted his head and looked at Suliang. Has a problem. Brother Qianer, did you come up in the high-rise elevator? Perhaps Han Qian spoke too quickly. After hearing what Suliang said, he turned around and saw that it was not where he sat yesterday. Then he hugged Suliang and strode towards the general department, talking as he walked. Don't worry about where I came from. Can you find someone who can do 3D modeling? I have a sketch here. You can ask him to help with it. Then I would like to trouble you to visit a reputable decoration company today and ask them about their demand for building materials and what prices homeowners in our new area can afford for decoration materials. Remember to leave the receipt and come back to the finance department for reimbursement and eat something good. As he spoke, Han Qian handed the folder to Suliang and said again. There is a rough plan here. You'd better give me the news you received tonight. If the plan is successful, you should be able to get a bonus of about 20,000 yuan. Go back quickly. I want to find Sister Yang. Without giving Suliang a chance to reply, Han Qian ran away, leaving Suliang in a daze. Suliang gradually discovered that what he liked was not a comfortable and leisurely job. He also got up early to go to work. A day of leisure is also a day of busyness. He saw this as an opportunity. Suliang went to work. When Han Qian walked into the general department, he immediately felt unkind eyes looking at him. Su Liang's kind reminder yesterday came true. The rules of the general department were broken. These people don't like to be busy. You are busy, and you don't want to see others busy. Too lazy to pay attention to these guys, Han Qian never cared about how others came to see him, and he didn't lie for others. He walked into Yang Ian's independent office with the information in his hand, and his eyes became sharper. When he walked into the office, Yang Lan was talking on the phone. During the conversation, he could hear that he was talking to a teacher at school. Han Qian was slightly stunned. He looked at Yang Lan, who was only about 30 years old. His children were already in school. Yang Lan put down the phone and frowned at Han Qian with a smile. Xiao Qian, it's not a good habit to be late for work the next day. In the morning, Mr. Yan came to the general department to see you. I told you that I asked you to buy something, so you can't let it slip. After hearing what he said, Han Qian's face suddenly turned down, and he sat across from Yang Lan and sighed with a grimace. My sister Yang, I have let down your good intentions. I was blocked by Mr. Yan at the door of the company. I have confessed and been lenient. It's over. I was late and implicated you. Yang Lan was stunned for a moment, then stood up and pointed a white-green onion finger at Han Qian's forehead, and said with a wry smile. You, why can't you be more diplomatic? Xiao Qian, I heard that Mr. Yan gave you the job of wiping out the entire planning department. Yeah, Mr. Yan said that this is also the scope of the general department's responsibilities. At that time, I took over the job on impulse. When I looked at the information last night, I realized that I was a little bloated. I can't complete this plan alone. I asked Su Liang to do some trivial tasks. Can the finance department reimburse me for the work expenses? It's okay if it's within reason. That's good. This is my simple plan last night. I hope you can take a look at it if you have time and help me as a newcomer. It can also be regarded as a task completed by our general department. I am a newcomer and I am a bit overstepped in doing things. It's against the rules. If I want to stay in the company for a long time and continue to work in the general department, I have to rely on Sister Yang for your protection. Han Qian acted very humbly. He did what he thought he should do. Even if this was a task assigned to him by Yan Qingqing, he was now working in the general department and could not make his direct leaders look bad, let alone appear to threaten the leader's position. Action. Yang Lan was not in a hurry to touch the information on the table. He leaned forward slightly, and the plumpness of his chest had fallen on the table. However, Han Qian kept his head lowered and his toes lowered, not to look at any incest, and in Yang Ian's case, you can't be too sharp in front of a woman. She has seen everything she should have seen at her age. She can't be the leader of several departments, unless you want to conquer her, but Han Qian has no such idea. Now he just want to make money. You want to drag me into trouble? Han Qian wants to find someone to help you share responsibilities. Su Liang is not qualified enough, so he chose me? Or maybe you feel the dissatisfaction of other employees in the general department with you. Han Qian raised his head and smiled. Sister Yang, if the plan is successful, the bonus will be huge, beyond your imagination. Yang Lan nodded lightly and smiled. I know the bonuses are huge, and I also know what the problem is that wiped out the planning department. They are just getting paid to do things. They have nothing to do with the company's losses and profits. If Mr. Yan wants to get a sincere plan, he needs to spend money. Big price. Now I want to know how confident you are that you can succeed. 100%. Han Qian smiled very brightly, without any nervousness or embarrassment of being seen through. This confidence made Yang Lan a little stunned. She didn't have much appreciation in her heart. She just thought that this young man was too conceited. Of course, she still did not reject Han Qian. of kindness. You can ask me at any time if you don't understand anything. If you need help with anything, you can apply to me. You've already dealt with it first, and I can't be too careful to embarrass you to show off my prestige as a little supervisor. You're late. For an hour and a half, I stayed to work overtime in the evening. Since Suliang has been won over by you, he should stay too. I will keep an eye on you. Go and do your work. Han Qian stood up and bowed to Yang Lan to thank him. When he opened the office door, Yang Lan suddenly shouted loudly. Han Qian, just do what you have to do and don't worry about others. Sister, I understand. After Han Qian left, Yang Lan took the folder and cursed softly. Slippery. Can I shamelessly ask for a recommendation vote? You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 16. Han Qian did not take the initiative to get to know other people in the general department because he had enough helpers now, and Han Qian believed that he was now considered a selfish and unruly person, and going to say hello would only be considered he took the initiative to show his kindness, but someone came to say hello to him. Han Qian? You were late for work the next day. You are considered a talented person. Han Qian raised his head and looked at the person walking next to him. He saw an uncle who was about 40 years old. He was slightly bald, not tall, and had a beer belly. The belt of his suit seemed to be a belt holding his belly. Han Qian smiled politely. Hello. The middle-aged man did not regard this hello as politeness. He stretched out his hand and patted Han Qian's shoulder and said softly. It's right for young people to be aggressive, but they should also know some rules and take care of other people's feelings. It's not a good habit to step on others to get the upper hand. Han Qian understood. He couldn't hold it in any longer. He wanted to give him a showdown as a newcomer. He smiled and didn't reply. He turned around and continued to write plans. The neglected middle-aged man was a little dissatisfied and stretched out his hand to grab Han Qian. The files on the table were pressed down by Han Qian's hand as soon as he touched them. Han Qian turned around and asked with a frown. Should I ask when I touch other people's things? The middle-aged man frowned. I am the deputy director of the general department. I have the right to check the busy work of the general department staff to avoid laziness. Then you should go and see those people who are playing games and watching movies. If you are delaying my work, I will ask Sister Yang to tell Mr. Yan that you are disturbing me and causing the work that should be completed not to be completed. Han Qian is very clear about the purpose of this guy who claims to be the deputy director. That is, other people in the general department do not want to see Han Qian continue to break their rules. If the general department is busy because of him, this is not something they can accept. So they asked Lu Zhuolong to trouble Han Qian. Dealing with a new young man, Lu Zhuolong thought he could catch him easily, but he never expected that this kid didn't understand the rules at all. At this time, Yang Lan opened the door of the office and looked at Han Qian and Lu Zhuolong with a frown. Deputy Director Lu, please don't disturb Han Qian. The work in his hands was assigned by Mr. Yan. Okay. Everyone, please put your affairs in hand. Other departments have always had great opinions on our general department. The senior management of the last time at the meeting, Vice President Gao has already mentioned the matter of integrating the general department. If you really don't have a job, you can learn how to make forms and practice calligraphy. Does Deputy Director Lu have anything to do with Han Qian? No, Lan Lan has time after get off work today. No, I have to pick up Bai Bei. She has a cold. After finishing his words, Lu Zhuolong didn't give Lu Zhuolong a chance to speak. He turned back to the office and closed the door. Lu Zhuolong was not embarrassed. Others acted as if nothing had happened. Han Qian put down his work with a somewhat sarcastic tone. He spoke. Vice Lu, isn't it immoral to have a married woman? You kid, don't you know how hard it is for Lan Lan to take care of a child by herself? Brother, I feel sorry for him. Huh? Sister Yang is single. Huh? Do you have any ideas? Then there was a dry cough in Yang Ian's office, and the two of them immediately became honest. Lu Zhuolong seemed to have forgotten what he wanted to target Han Qian. He casually pulled up a chair and held his chin with one hand, looking at Yang Ian's office in a daze. Still an affectionate guy? Although Sister Yang deliberately told these people that Han Qian was busy with Mr. Yan and the girls were no longer shopping online to watch dramas, the boys turned a deaf ear to Yang Ian's words and did whatever they should. It was all because of Yang Ian's temperament that he was too gentle. Lu Zhuolong kept looking at Yang Ian's office, his eyes full of love. After noon, everyone had finished eating. Han Qian went downstairs to eat. He had just ordered a set meal and was about to use his chopsticks when Sul Yang came back. He saw Han Qian at a glance and rushed forward to unscrew the drinks on the table. Raise your head and drink. Han Qian put down his chopsticks and asked curiously. You went to the desert? Didn't you eat out? Sul Yang put down the bottle and took a deep breath and replied. No, I originally planned to take people from the decoration company to dinner. When we arrived at the restaurant, several bosses insisted on having a drink. Your time is very urgent. It will be bad if you delay things in the afternoon. I will be back after paying the bill. After saying that, he pointed at the plate in front of Han Qian. Han Qian smiled and pushed it towards Sul Yang. Then he stood up and ordered another meal. He bought 2 bottles of water and came back. After sitting down again, he told Sul Yang that it would only take a minute or two. Eat first, it's too late to talk later when we go out to smoke. While devouring the food, Han Qian didn't notice that Sul Yang had eaten the chicken steak on the plate. Outside the main entrance of Ye Orong Company, 2 young men were blowing smoke. Short-haired Han Qian and long-haired Sul Yang were enjoying the pleasure brought by cigarettes. Brother Qian, I asked some decoration companies this morning. As long as people now go to decoration companies to decorate their houses, the conditions at home will not be too bad. Especially those who buy houses in the new district, some materials used for decoration they were all bought from surrounding cities, and some who liked the Chinese style went to Xianghe, the capital. People from the decoration company said that decoration is not only for living comfortably, but also for contrast between the good and bad decoration of the home. Once a friend asks, buying some branded materials will not only give you a lot of face, but at least you won't be looked down upon. In addition, people nowadays have begun to give gifts in the form of decoration. Han Qian nodded, took out a cigarette and handed it to Sul Yang. Sul Yang didn't take it and threw half a box of Union in his hand to Han Qian before saying, I'm stressed and too much. They say the car watch is a man's second face. I think cigarettes are the second face. Do you have a mission this afternoon? Han Qian nodded again. Yes, this time you go to the decoration city to take a look at their products and prices, and then go to the furniture city in the outer ring of the old district to inquire about it. Just call me and tell me before you get off work. Sister Yang wants you to stay in the company and work overtime with me. I can't work overtime anymore. I made an appointment with a college student to go to the movies in the evening. I can't accompany you through thick and thin. I won't go back to the company. Okay, I told Sister Yang that you will be busy until late. He took on this difficult problem when he first came to the company. No one, including Yan Qingqing, knew how capable Han Qian was. Yang Lan, whom Mr. Yan looked up to, would give him some face. Han Qian spent the whole afternoon writing a plan. When Nuan sent a text message after work, Han Qian glanced at it and was about to put down his phone, but then he thought about it and returned the call. I may go back a little later tonight, about an hour or two later. Don't order takeout. I'll cook it for you when I get back. Han Qian, I feel a little uncomfortable. Please come back early. Okay, I get it. After hanging up the phone, Han Qian didn't think much and continued to sit immersed in the work in his hands. After an unknown amount of time, he felt some back pain and found that his phone was missing. He got up and searched all over the floor, and finally found the phone in the crack under the table. Looking at the 3 missed calls above, 2 are warm and 1 is from my mother. Han Qian was confused. There was an old man next to his mother, and he would call if there was something important. He would reply to Nuan Nuan first. After dialing 2 times in succession, no one answered. Han Qian panicked. He remembered Nuan Nuan 2 years ago. A pervert broke into the house, using his identity as a restaurant delivery person, so Han Qian's arm was slashed. Han Qian called his mother while running. He thought it was Nuan Nuan who called his mother, but in the end, his mother just asked him when he would go back during the new year. It's over. Something happened to Nuan Nuan. The sky outside is like Han Qian's mood. Baiu. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 17. It happened that there was a leak in the house and it rained all night. When I went back, the elevator had a sign and was out of service for maintenance. Han Qian galloped all the way to the top floor and opened the door with trembling hands. The lights in the room were turned off and there were no signs of a fight. The more this happened, the more panicked Han Qian became. He rushed up to the 2nd floor and pushed away the 2 men without even thinking. There was no warmth in the bedroom. Han Qian went downstairs without stopping. When he took out his mobile phone and prepared to call the police, he found the warmth curled up in the corner of the sofa. The tall figure of 1.72 meters was shrunk into a ball. Han Qian breathed a sigh of relief and said helplessly, "Why don't you turn on the lights at home? Why don't you answer the phone?" When Han Qian didn't get a reply, Han Qian thought Wen Nuan was sulking with him, so he turned around and took off his coat and went to the kitchen. In the past 2 days, when Han Qian was cooking, Wen Nuan would come to the kitchen to join in the fun. Han Qian waited for a long time but didn't find Wen coming over. Frowning, he returned to the living room and turned on the light, only to find that Nuan Nuan had fallen asleep with his eyes closed. Han Qian smiled helplessly and stepped forward to send this not very smart but very kind girl upstairs. When his arm touched the warm body, Han Qian panicked again. Nuan Nuan is sick and her body is very hot. Han Qian was anxious. Wen Nuan rarely got sick. The only time she went to the hospital was when she ate too much spicy food. She hugged Wen Nuan and left the house. When she went out, she remembered that the fire in the kitchen had not been turned off. When she went back to turn off the fire, she remembered that the elevator could not be turned off. Use. Holding 100 kilograms of warmth, he trotted all the way, not daring to go too fast. He was afraid of delaying the onset of pneumonia. When he walked out of the unit door, he found that it was raining outside. Han Qian took off his coat and wrapped it around his upper body. The rented house did not. There is an underground parking space, and the car is still outside the community. On the way to the hospital, Wen only wet his hair a little, while Han Qian turned into a drowned rat. Han Qian didn't know who to call. Wen had no friends. He couldn't tell Li Jinhe or Lao Wen. The math was over. He was the only one around Nuan Nuan. Thinking of Nuan Nuan's phone call while working overtime, Han Qian wanted to slap himself. She even said she wasn't feeling well, but he didn't take it to heart. It wasn't until Nuan Nuan was hooked up to the intravenous drip that Han Qian's heart fell. In stomach. The doctor gave a few instructions and then left. By the way, he told Han Qian that he could go home and change his clothes before coming back. The nurse would always be here to watch. Han Qian shook his head and declined the doctor's kindness. Looking at Nuan Wen, who was already asleep, he quietly walked out of the ward and finally decided to call Li Jinhee. "Hey, Han Qian, why are you calling so late? The little white-eyed wolf is acting like a monster again." "No, the warmth is good. It's my fault. I didn't notice her fever. She's now in the hospital on an intravenous drip. Use me to go there." "No, no, it's just that I didn't take care of Nuan. I should give you a call." "It's okay, just remember to call me if anything happens." Li Jinhee was relieved when he heard that it was just an ordinary fever and hung up the phone. Han Qian went to the restaurant of the hospital. He became the object of attention and pointing from passers-by. Fortunately, Han Qian didn't care about this and bought a bowl of porridge and a few side dishes. Wen Nuan had already woken up when he opened the ward, looking around with a pair of big eyes in confusion. Han Qian could feel Wen was relieved when he saw him, but this girl arrogantly covered herself in the quilt, and it seemed that he was angry with Han Qian. Han Qian smiled and put the porridge on the small table. Soon the warmth came out from under the quilt. He wrinkled his nose and looked at the fragrant rice porridge. His temper still couldn't overcome his appetite. He drank the porridge in small sips. Han Qian tilted his head and looked out the window. He didn't think about anything, but he just felt that he shouldn't look back now. Hearing the sound of warmth retracting into the quilt, Han Qian turned around and put away the dishes. The nurse brought medicine and warm water. Han Qian didn't persuade Nuan to take medicine. He didn't say a word after waking up from Nuan. He was confused. What does he have to do with Nuan now? A little closer than when we got married, but a little further away from our lovers, as if we were living together. He was anxious when he saw Wen Nuan was sick, but now that Wen was fine, he felt more at ease. The rain outside the window was still falling, and Han Qian's heart gradually calmed down. The current debt has not been paid off, so why do you think so much? Holding the windowsill with both hands and looking out the window, the 3D model of the plan appeared in my mind. Now I can determine the feasibility of the plan. There are no problems from multiple angles. As long as I write down everything in my mind, the task is completed. There will be enough time for one day tomorrow. Han Qian thinks it is enough. Han Qian. His thoughts were interrupted. Han Qian turned his head and looked at Nuan with a little confusion, then tilted his head and asked. "What's wrong? Where do you feel uncomfortable?" "I'm going to sleep, please turn off the light." "Good." At this time, Han Qian was not in the mood to make trouble, and Wen Nuan was not in the mood to listen. After a long time, Han Qian didn't know what he was thinking about for such a long time. His mind went blank. Suddenly, he was interrupted again by a cell phone ringtone. It was Nuan's cell phone. Han Qian almost forgot that Nuan was always at home. "Hold the phone." Frowning, he walked forward and found that it was an unfamiliar number with no name recorded. Han Qian hung up the phone directly. Within 2 seconds, the call came again. Han Qian didn't know how to mute the high-end things like warmth. He looked at him sleeping soundly. Warmth, he pressed the answer button. It will be inconvenient for Nuan to answer the phone. The other party was silent. Han Qian looked at the number again and was about to hang up when the other party spoke. "Who are you, and why are you holding Xiao Nuan's phone number at this time, Han Qian?" "Well, Nuan went to bed, is there something wrong?" When the other party called Xiao Nuan, Han Qian knew who it was. The phone number was blocked and changed to a new number. Just when Han Qian admitted it, the other party broke out. "Han Qian, stay the hell away from Xianyuan." Han Qian smiled and said with a cold laugh. "Can you take care of it? Lin Zongheng, you are like a piece of dogskin plaster. If you have anything to do, wait until Xianyuan wakes up tomorrow to talk about it." Snapped. Han Qian hung up the phone. When he stood up and was about to leave, he thought about the phone again. Han Qian frowned and hung up. Lin Zongheng kept dialing as if he was in a daze. Until Han Qian couldn't help it, the phone was connected again. This time, when Han Qian spoke, Lin Zongheng roared. Han Qian, don't let me catch you, I will make you regret what you did. Lin Zongheng, please come and arrest me. Han Qian hung up the phone and took deep breaths to vent his anger. He didn't know why he got angry when he heard Lin Zongheng's name. He was even more angry when Lin Zongheng called his warm name affectionately. There is a button on the left. Press and hold to turn off the phone. The warm voice reached Han Qian's ears. It turned out that she had not slept. In fact, she had not slept since Han Qian carried her downstairs. Although she was confused, she could understand everything Han Qian did. Han Qian did not turn off his phone. Instead, he handed the phone to Nuan Nuan. Nuan Nuan took the phone and turned it off immediately, then threw it aside and turned to look at Han Qian. Han Qian, I want to go shopping. It's raining and the shops are closed. How about you go shopping with me tomorrow? I haven't gone shopping in several years. The last time I went shopping was when Lin Zongheng was not abroad. He returned to China and he asked me to go to his house to have dinner with his parents tomorrow. I don't want to go. Good. Han Qian didn't have any hesitation or resistance, only one good word. Nuan Nuan also likes to hear Han Qian's one-word answer the most. A good one, no hesitation, no procrastination. But Han Qian forgot that tomorrow is his last time. Don't ask me why I updated twice, because I feel like I like you guys too much. I have collected 1,000 of them in my efforts. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 18. Maybe women are born for shopping. Before leaving the hospital in the morning, when Nuan asked Han Qian how much money he still had in his hand, Han Qian took out $31 for a long time. The two stood at the door of the ward and looked at each other for a long time. Wen turned around and walking to the ward, shouting to call her mother to tell her that she was sick, Han Qian didn't even take care of her. Stop. There is no money in the card. There is still 1,435 cents in the card. Now Wen Nuan has found a way to deal with Han Qian. Whenever something happens, he calls his mother-in-law. Nuan Wen holds the door handle with one hand and turns to look at Han Qian with disdain and grits his teeth. Do you still dare to be poor? Yes, I have a person living in my house who does not work but eats. I need to buy snacks, vegetables, and 3 towels. I am picky about food every day. I was hospitalized last night and paid. Can you stop being so verbose? His head was tucked under his armpits with warmth, and his mouth was covered tightly. The drowned rat came to the hospital last night, and today the girl took her away with her head between her legs. Han Qian successfully made the nurses recognize her. After the two left, the nurses gathered together and whispered, "Hey! It's so irritating to see people compare to each other. My girlfriend just had a high fever, but she was sent to the hospital regardless of the weather. Don't be sour. I was on duty last night. It rained so heavily. My girlfriend only got her hair wet. The man was soaked all over. He was also busy buying porridge. There is only one bed and one chair in the independent ward. I stayed up all night with you. He is so handsome. He has such good looks. You think that girl is simple? She's pretty, right? The Cartier bracelet on her wrist is enough for us to save 3 years without food or drink, which is 180,000 yuan. The nurses gathered together and sighed. She is beautiful and rich, tall and elegant, and her boyfriend treats her like a baby bump. They are both human beings, so why is there such a big gap? When he left the hospital, the sun was already high in the sky. Han Qian looked at the warmth in his pajamas and said softly, "Where to go? Glory department store, let's see what's so good about their glory." Wear a mask. Others don't know you, but the people of glory know you, the famous president when. It's the deputies. Han Qian drove seriously. When Nguyen took a look at the money he had secretly accumulated over the past few years by opening his wristband and taking out a bank card. It was past 9 o'clock, and Yan Qingqing was sitting in Han Qian's seat in the general department with a dark face. Sul Yang did not dare to be so close to Mr. Yan. He said that Mr. Yan was a good place here and was willing to go to the office to be a slave. In fact, Yan it's really not his type, and he doesn't dare to like her. No one dared to play games or watch movies anymore. They all lowered their heads and pretended to be doing their work. Yang Lan and Lu Zhuolong were standing behind Yan Qingqing. Xiao Yangjia had already run out to contact Han Qian. After half an hour, Xiao Yangjia he came back with a pout, lowered his head timidly and spoke. Mr. Yan, Han Qian's mobile phone is turned off. Boom. Yan Qingqing slapped her hand on the table and shouted angrily with an evil look on her face. You don't know how to think of other solutions when you shut down your phone? You have to come over and ask me for advice on everything? I asked you to come here to solve the problem, not to cause trouble. Little Yang Jia turned around and ran away, her calves squeezing so fast. Yan Qingqing's anger towards Han Qian has not disappeared. He dared to fight her during the interview, threw her shoes on the first day at work, and was late the next day. Didn't come at all on the third day, and didn't even get a call or ask for instructions. Yang Lan didn't dare to excuse Han Qian rashly now. She didn't know what was going on with this young man. Lu Zhuolong rolled his eyes, this seemed to be an opportunity, and said with a flattering smile. Mr. Yan, this Han Qian simply doesn't regard the company's regulations as regulations. He can eat lunch for more than an hour and often runs out to smoke. Why don't we just fire him? Except for Sul Yang and Yang Lan, everyone in the general department had happy expressions on their faces. Han Qian should be fired. Without her, how could Mr. Yan come to the general department? Yang Lan seemed to have thought of something. He turned around and trotted back to the office on high heels, took out a document and handed it to Yan Qingqing. Mr. Yan, this is the prototype of the plan that Han Qian made yesterday. I have already seen it. It seems. What's the point of seeing it? Do you know how to plan? Yan Qingqing snatched the document from Yang Ian's hand, opened it and took a cursory glance, then raised the document and pointed at Lu Zhuolong and cursed angrily. Fire Han Qian? If you are so good, why should I suffer this injustice? All of them know how to dress up besides playing games, and all of them have no use. Fire Han Qian and you, Lu Zhuolong, are the top ones. Or is it you, Yang Lan, who can do it? Okay. I'm not targeting anyone. Who here can show something that won't be looked down upon by others? We are all human beings. A graduate from a prestigious university can't compare to a college dropout. Why the hell are you looking at me? You don't have one. Work. If you don't have a job, go clean the 14th floor. No one dared to answer, and Yan Qingqing became even more angry. She threw the document to the ground and cursed angrily. Are you all deaf? Can't you hear me? Do you want me to put the mop in your hands? Or do you want you to clean the house and waste talents? If you don't want to do it, prepare a resignation report and give it to me, and give it 3 times the salary you settle. Empress Yasha was really angry. Lu Zhuolong was the first to run out of the office. He still needed this job to support his family, and his wife and children were waiting for him to make money. Deputy Director Lu is married and likes Yang Lan. Yan Qingqing looked at the documents on the table and said coldly. Director Yang, Sul Yang. Han Qian wrote your names in the file on the desk. If Han Qian can't give me a satisfactory result tomorrow morning, you two will pack up and leave the company, deducting all wages and bonuses. Mr. Yan, I'm going to find Brother Qianer. he is definitely not someone who runs away from battle. Suliang also ran away, leaving Yang Lan with her head down and choking, tears falling on the ground drop by drop, like a bullied little daughter-in-law. Listening to Yang Ian's cry, Yan Qingqing closed her eyes and sighed. Don't cry. I only have a few of you confidants in the company. It's not easy for you to be an orphan and a widower. But this Han Qian is so unruly. When he comes back, you have to discipline him well, just like you did, just like little Yang Xia, do you hear me? I know, Mr. Yan. Can you please stop crying? I'm so annoyed. No. No more crying, wow. Yang Lan was too cowardly. After being scolded by Yan Qingqing, she cried louder. Yan Qingqing suddenly felt that her world had exploded. She picked up the documents and ran away. But after Yan Qingqing left, Lu Zhuolong came back, and when he saw Yang Lan crying like a tearful person, he felt heartbroken. He took out a tissue and handed it to Yang Lan, saying softly, Lan, don't cry. Stop comforting me and go find Han Qian. I don't want to lose my job. Okay. Okay, I'll go right now, I'll go right now. Lu Zhuolong really liked Yang Lan, but it was a pity that Yang Lan only regarded him as a colleague. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Huan. Chapter 19. The General Department of Honor Group was in trouble. All departments came to see the jokes of the General Department. The people in the General Department hated Han Qian, but at this time, Han Qian was walking in the mall wearing a dirty shirt and the warmth of pajamas. The two of them can be said to be the shabbiest people in the shopping mall. Even so, their clothes could not hide the fact that they were a talented man and a beautiful woman. When Nuan took Han Qian to visit various brand stores, and even took Han Qian to see Vacheron Constantin and Rolex to look at watches. Tried it on, but didn't buy it in the end. The sales staff of Honor Department Store didn't look impatient at all and provided dedicated service. When Nuan was here to cause trouble, but he was a little disappointed in the end. This was better than Chang Xiang did. Han Qian stopped letting Wen Nuan mess around and took Wen Nuan to the women's store on the second floor to buy clothes. He couldn't wear them all the time. Pajamas, right? Shopping is the best medicine for women. The warmth no longer hurts my head, and my legs are no longer sore. Wandering around the shops on the second floor, Han Qian fell in love with a white long-sleeved fairy dress. This dress can be worn if it is warm. It should be very nice. I want to be warm. I didn't receive the call even though he was sick last night. I should give her some compensation and comfort. Nuan, what do you think of this skirt? Haven't you always liked white? Looking at the warmth of the jeans in front of the discounted jeans, he turned his head and pouted. It's not that I like white, it's you, a misophobic monster who likes white. As she spoke, Wen Nuan came to Han Qian's side. She didn't look at the dress at first glance. She would never deliberately choose a certain piece of clothing. She knew that whatever she said was the most beautiful, when Wen saw the price on the label. 999. No discount. Nuan gave up decisively. Don't buy it, don't like it. I haven't seen you wear a skirt like this before. It must look very good. Let's try it. Han Qian's heartless persuasion made Nuan jealous. She knew that Han Qian only had more than 1,400 points in his hand and would use 2/3 of this dress, so Nuan was reluctant to part with it. Not buying. Girl, your boyfriend has really good taste. It's not about this dress, but about you. You are so beautiful. No matter in terms of temperament, figure, or appearance, your boyfriend is really lucky. He is definitely. I want to see how you look in a fairy dress. In fact, you can see a bit of a wedding dress after putting on a fairy dress. I don't recommend you buy it, but you should try it. Your boyfriend has been staring at it since he walked in. Wearing this skirt, he must love you very much. I have seen too many couples. Most of them are girls buying, while the boys are waiting aside without giving any opinions. It's just a try. It won't take you too long. Just think of it as me doing your boyfriend a favor. The clerk's recommendation to save the country through twists and turns made Nguyen Nguyen feel a little embarrassed and refused. It was not because he was worried about rejecting the clerk, but because he didn't want to refuse Han Chien. He pursed his lips and reluctantly took the skirt and went to the fitting room. At this time, Han Chien went. After looking at shoes for a long time, I finally chose a pair of canvas shoes. They are warm and tall, so there is no need to wear high heels. Moreover, high heels are not suitable for shopping, and slippers are not suitable. After looking at the shoes, Han Chien left the store and walked into an underwear store in full view of everyone. He came back shortly after with a black bag. Although he had not touched the warm figure, Han Chien still too understanding. Little Mango. The clerk's sister sent the shoes and black bag into the fitting room with an envious look. At this time, Han Chien also started chatting with other clerks while paying, asking them whether the store was rented or bought, how much the rent was, and whether it was located. Different prices are different. Han Chien. During the conversation, Wen Wen came out, and her white fairy skirt made her stand out even more. Han Chien knew very well what Wen Wen looked like at home, and after watching it for 3 years, he didn't think of any words to describe women, only the 4 words water lotus. The hem of the pleated skirt was designed to hide her beautiful legs, but it made her look even taller. The corset made her waist look very attractive, and the pleats on her chest hides the defect of small breasts. Han Chien's eyes stayed for a long time. It was not that he was dumbfounded. He thought this was a kind of recognition and respect for the dress, and smiled at Nguyen Nguyen. Wear it. I know you look good in anything you wear. The money has been paid and they don't accept returns. As soon as he finished speaking, Wen Nguyen rushed over, pinched and kicked Han Chien, but made no intention of returning the goods. Han Chien grinned stupidly, pushed Han Chien out of the store, and whispered through gritted teeth. How expensive it is, more than 1,000 yuan, Han Chien. Your Highness, I just want to make up for my mistake last night, and I ask for your forgiveness. Nguyen Nguyen puffed up his cheeks and stared at Han Chien, then stepped forward, grabbed Han Chien's arm with both hands, and dragged him to the first floor, all the way to Gucci. Han Chien tilted his head and glanced at Nguyen Nguyen, shook his head, and Nguyen Leng snorted. Road. You still have less than 300 yuan in hand, and you can't afford it. Go in and cause trouble for the store clerk, and let me see if Honor's sales temperament is so good. It turned out to be a test. Han Chien breathed a sigh of relief and followed Wen Nguyen into Gucci. After entering the store, Wen Nguyen abandoned Han Chien and walked lightly in front of the suits with his hands behind his back. From time to time, he would take one to gesture at Han Chien. The plaid one is not suitable for work, it's too fancy. The black one looks too dignified. White is not good. It looks too handsome when worn and is not safe. Wen Nguyen doesn't know where the word unsafe comes from, but the white one won't work. Gray, yes. Wen Nguyen pointed at the gray suit, and then at Han Chien. Han Chien knew Wen Wen's figure, and Wen Wen naturally also knew Han Chien's height. In Han Chien's confused eyes, he was pushed into the fitting room by several little girls. Then Nguyen Nguyen chose a gray shirt that was very ordinary in white and the cheapest. Even the cheapest one was much more expensive than the skirt on Nguyen Nguyen. Han Chien was faster, and he straightened his hair by the way, walked up and patted Nguyen Nguyen on the shoulder, frowning. Why are you trying on the suit? The clerk just said. Shut up. After saying that, when Nuan turned around and took 2 steps back. He held his chest with one hand and his chin with the other and looked at Han Qian up and down. Very good. The gray color is much more restrained. His broad shoulders and tall figure match his short hair, giving him the feeling of a thug in a suit. Very handsome and mature. When Nuan also did not praise Han Qian. He made a silent gesture to Han Qian and walked to the bar. With his back to Han Qian, Wen Nuan took out a card from a black plastic bag and handed it to the clerk furtively. Credit card swiped successfully. Nuan turned to Han Qian with a little fox smile and grinned. Han Qian, you owe me 4.03 million, ha ha ha. Work hard to repay your debt. I, the princess, will leave first as a courtesy. The warmth is gone. Han Qian stood there with his eyes wide open and didn't know what was wrong. Just 3 pieces of clothing cost 30,000. Then Han Qian whispered to the clerk. Wait a minute, I'll catch him and change him to a cheaper one. This sentence was not taken into consideration by the clerk. From the moment the fairy-like girl walked into the store to the time of checkout, she never asked a question about the price. Wen Wenwen, who was wearing canvas shoes, was waving his arms exaggeratedly and giggling non-stop. Han Qian beside him had a grimace on his face and was about to cry. He didn't even pay back a penny and he owed another 30,000. Look at the receipt in your hand. A suit costs 28,000. Shirt 3,999. If working without food and water for half a year is not enough to buy this clothes, Han Qian turned his head to look at Xian Wen with a sad face. Your Highness, your clothes are a little too thin. Can you go back and change them? I will never return them. No, your princess knows that you want to change it to something cheaper. It's too expensive, I feel bad. When Han Qian said this, Nuan stopped, turned around and looked at Han Qian seriously and said softly. You have less than 1,500 yuan in your hand. You spent 1,200 yuan on clothes and shoes for me. Although they are not expensive, this is all you have. I have 800,000 yuan in my card. I will give it to you. What's wrong with buying a suit worth 30,000 yuan? You think it's expensive, I think it's cheap. Han Qian, last night was indeed your fault, but I know that if I told you on the first call that I was sick, you would let go, come home and see me for everything you have done. Don't blame yourself with guilt. I don't want to owe you anything. Just leave it like this, okay? Don't let my warmth be too embarrassing or too humble. We are no longer husband and wife. We are the best. My friend, my best confidant, are you the only one who has the right to give me clothes and take care of me when I'm sick? I have the right to, okay? I've been shopping with you all morning, and I'm going to work. Good. Still one word. After the divorce, the ex-wife became a creditor. Author, Ahuan. Chapter 20. Nuan left, and Han Qian went back to Gucci to discuss whether he could refund it. As a result, the receipt that the other party wanted to buy, even if it was a refund, would be returned to the card used to pay the bill. Han Qian sighed feebly and leaned on the counter to ask about the expensive clothes he bought. I haven't bargained yet, can you give me a few pairs of socks? This request was not rejected. After taking the socks, Han Qian still felt that he had lost a lot of money. Aren't they all clothes of any brand? They just don't show the flesh. How come he sells them so expensively? The clerk also noticed Han Qian's distress and walked forward with a smile and said softly. Sir, you should be very happy to have such a girlfriend. Happiness. Thinking of Nuan, Han Qian shuddered. Nuan has been quite honest these days. It would make people crazy when she is dishonest. Han Qian turned his head, scratched his head shyly, and chuckled. Friends, just friends. Your clothes are so expensive, and I don't think you have many customers. Can you make back this month's rent? The clerk was slightly startled after hearing this, and then smiled. "Sir, you are really joking. Gucci does not need too much sales. We are pursuing the highest end brand, and the people we target are high consumption people. I am not sure whether it will make money as a store clerk, but I know that if it does not make money, it will. Our boss can still accept the rent of 200,000 yuan a year. Aren't you employees of Honor Group? No, but you need to undergo glorious training before you can take up the job. Is there anything else, sir?" "No more, no more." Han Qian scratched his head in embarrassment and turned around to leave. His mind kept chewing on what the clerk just said, which was of great help to him. Walking out of Glory department store, the sun was dazzling. Looking at the sun hanging high in the sky, Han Qian felt a warmth. Then he slapped his head and forgot to go to work. It was all because of the warmth. Being a housewife for 3 years made Han Qian forget for a moment that he had to clock into work every day. He gritted his teeth and stopped a taxi. After getting in, he started to instruct the driver which way to go. It could be a little further, but the traffic jam would increase. The time and expense Han Qian could not accept. He is poorer now. Walking into the door of Glory with anxiety and nervousness, the round-faced girl at the front desk stood up suddenly when she saw Han Qian. She picked up the phone and dialed the number of the general manager's secretary desk. Unfortunately, no one answered. Han Qian also noticed that the girl was acting strangely, grinning and giving the girl a bright and sunny smile. The round-faced girl stood there blankly. Who was this Han Qian who had just arrived 2 days ago? After regaining his composure, he turned around and ran to the 14th floor, wanting to notify Mr. Yan as soon as possible that Immortal Han was back. Han Qian took the elevator to the 11th floor. When he opened the elevator, he saw colleagues from the general department either mopping the floor with mops or cleaning windows and watering flowers. Ouch! Han Qian smiled. The work of the Honor Group was really good. He also knew how to let employees stretch their muscles. He walked up to Lu Zhuolong, who was standing in front of Lu Zhuolong with a curious look on his face, and said with a smile, "Deputy Director Lu is really hands-on. He knows that everyone in the general department is too idle at the same time, so why should he be brought out to stretch his muscles? Bah! Do you think I am willing, or that Han Qian provoked Yan? Han Qian? Han Qian! Come on, don't let Han Qian escape." At first, Lu Zhuolong, who was bending down to mop the floor, didn't realize that the little brat Han Qian was standing in front of him. Halfway through his words, he felt that the voice sounded familiar. He raised his head and confirmed that it was the little brat, then threw away the mop and opened his arms tightly. He hugged Han Qian tightly. Han Qian was confused at this moment. He couldn't be so enthusiastic, could he? Then he found that all the employees in the general department were rushing toward him. Some were holding mops, brooms, showers, and basins. Their faces were ferocious and angry, and a strong murderous aura was coming towards him. Han Qian was scared and couldn't break away from Lu Zhuolong's embrace. He closed his eyes. Since he couldn't resist, he should silently bear the care from his colleagues. It might hurt. "Have you found Han Qian? Where is he?" Yang Yian's voice reached Han Qian's ears like the sound of nature, and then he felt Lu Zhuolong let go of his arm. The next second, there was a pain in his ears. Han Qian opened his eyes and looked at Yang Lan, who was anxious and had red eyes. He immediately grinning. "Sister Yang, it hurts, please tell me if you have anything to say. Say it nicely. You didn't come to work and didn't even make a call. And then your phone was turned off. Do you know that you almost lost Sul Yang and I our jobs? If I lost my job, my family would be in trouble. Han Qian, you." While talking, Yang Lan cried again. Han Qian quickly took out the antique and found that it was out of power. Was it broken last night? It seemed that the battery had not been charged for half a month. Yang Ian's crying made Lu Zhuolong extremely distressed, and he kicked Han Qian in the butt. "Can you have some consciousness, little bastard? Mr. Yan was waiting for you early in the morning at the general department. If you didn't come to work, why don't you just resign? If Lan Lan was implicated, Mr. Yan pointed at your nose and scolded you, and pulled your ears. I'll kill you now. My heart is ready, Lan Lan, don't cry, brother Lu, give me a hug." When Lu Zhuolong was about to hug Yang Lan, Han Qian quickly stepped forward to squeeze the old man away and apologized seriously with a look of regret. I'm sorry, Sister Yang. Last night, a friend of mine was hit by a car and was discharged from the hospital. I rushed over, I was so frightened that I forgot about the phone. Her parents were not around, so the little girl was all alone. One person. Nuan, please help me take the blame. I have to go shopping. Han Qian, have you changed your clothes? These clothes look pretty good. Did you buy them at the hospital? Lu Zhuolong, who was squeezed away, stared at Han Qian unwillingly, deliberately trying to cause trouble. Yang Lan was not in the mood to pay attention to the two people's bickering, so he just pulled Han Qian's ear towards the general department and walked over. Mr. Yan wants you to do something very urgent. How can you still be in the mood to buy clothes? If you have no clothes to wear, tell me and I will buy them for you. You can't disappear suddenly. Now you are more concerned about Mr. Yan. It's important, otherwise you would have been fired long ago. Han Qian, who had his ears pulled, bared his teeth, looked at Yang Lan blankly and whispered. Why is she anxious? Didn't she say that she would get the results tomorrow morning? Sister Yang, please don't be aggrieved. It was me who caused this matter. I'm going to quarrel with her. Yang Lan threw Han Qian onto the chair, gritted his teeth and cursed with red eyes. Tell me, why did you take this hot potato? Hot to the touch? The ears are quite hot to the touch. Sister Yang, you are too harsh, you naughty one. Don't tell me that it's because of me that our general department went out to clean. Lu Zhuolong geared up and looked at Han Qian and gritted his teeth. Otherwise, do you think we still feel sorry for the cleaning lady? Uncle Lu, we call you aunt, you should call me eldest sister. You little bastard, are you looking for a beating? You, brother Lu, and I are only 39. What do you say about Lu Zhuolong? He is not a good person, but he is not a pure bad person either. Whether he likes him or not will appear on his face and he will say it out loud. Han Qian scratched his head in embarrassment and ignored the greasy uncle. He turned around and looked up at Yang Lan with a grin. Sister Yang, please calm down. I'll pay for it when it's over. You can treat me and take everyone to Ziosa. After all, I was the one who got involved. Where is Sul Yang? Did you come to me? Yang Lan took a deep breath, which made Han Qian lower his head in embarrassment. Just as Yang Lan was about to speak, little Yang Jia hurried over, followed by Sul Yang in an apron. Little Yang Jia breathed a sigh of relief after seeing Han Qian. Then stepped forward and grabbed Han Qian's arm and dragged him out of the door. Now go see Mr. Yan and you can still leave a whole body. Han Qian was pulled away by Xiao Yang Jia, but his eyes were looking at Sul Yang, and Han Qian smiled slightly. Card or cash? Sul Yang replied with the same smile. Now, it's fun to watch. It's such a thick pile to seduce girls, he, you know, brother Qianer. Okay, I'll give it to you tomorrow. Han Qian was dragged away, and the entire general department breathed a sigh of relief. At this time, Sul Yang was hugged by Lu Zhuolong's shoulders and threatened in a low voice to ask Sul Yang to explain what Han Qian was planning. When Sul Yang saw Han Qian's smiling face, he was relieved and shrugged lightly. I don't know the specifics. I only know that brother Qianer took me with him. I can receive such a thick stack. Sul Yang, You didn't have enough fun cleaning the toilet. Yang Ian's scolding made Sul Yang shut up. It's still unclear whether he can succeed. If everyone knows and Han Qian fails, he will not be able to continue working in the general department in the future. Lu Zhuolong let go of Sul Yang and turned around. She walked towards Yang Lan with a flattering look on her face. Lan Lan, I have two here. Snapped. The office door was closed, almost hitting Lu Zhuolong's nose. Love, there is a long way to go. As for the break, do you believe me when I say I'm going to be the best man?